Incredibles 2 is the longly awaited sequel to The Incredibles. And when I say longly awaited, I mean longly awaited. The Incredibles came out 14 years ago. So here's hoping this sequel was worth the wait. Incredibles 2, I want to say it takes place right after The Incredibles. You know, at the very end of The Incredibles, the Underminer just came drilling out of the ground, you know, making all his evil threats, and then the Incredibles, the family, they all just suited up to take him on. And that is essentially right where we get into Incredibles 2. The family goes into battle with the Underminer. They're trying to stop him from robbing this bank and basically destroying the city. Unfortunately, though, the Underminer is able to get away with the money that he stole, and he still has his drill machine preparing to cause immense havoc in the city. They are able to stop it with the help of Frozone, but it still causes some damages. In Incredibles, they just get berated for what they did by the law because being a superhero is still illegal. They bring up, it's like, oh, you know, we could have taken care of this ourselves. You guys get in the way. It caused more damages. This is why superheroes were retired. So now the Incredibles are kind of on their own because the government has now been forced to stay away from helping superheroes in relocation and getting their lives together. The Incredibles are just stuck living in this motel with virtually nothing. But then Mr. Incredible, Elastigirl, and Frozone, the three of them are approached by a man named Winston Dever. This guy's a huge superhero fan, and he's someone who believes that superheroes can still do good. Society just needs to see them in the right perception. So his goal, with the help of his sister Evelyn, is to get society to see superheroes as what they were, you know, these great, justice-fighting good guys. And they feel Elastigirl is the best superhero to kick this off with. You know, the goal will simply be have her go out, have her help, you know, contribute to society, stop crimes, get on footage, and get it clearly shown that she's helping people, which will eventually lead to superheroes being reinstated altogether. And what I really like seeing here is Mr. Incredible, of course, he's supportive of this idea, he's supportive of Elastigirl, but at the same time, you can see this guy is so jelly over the situation. Because it was established in The Incredibles. He wants to be a superhero. He wants to get back out there. He loved what he did. So it's definitely a blow to the ego that they chose his wife and not him. So this is where the movie also shifts some focus over to what Mr. Incredible has to do as a stay-at-home dad. And what I really love that the movie does here is it is pretty accurate to what any stay-at-home parent usually goes through with their kids. I mean, you see Mr. Incredible trying to help Dash with his homework, and he doesn't understand the homework because it's different from what he was learning when he was a student. He's trying to help Violet cope with her crush Tony from the previous movie not showing up to meet with her because his memory got erased because he saw her unmasked in the events with the Underminer. Teenage girls are never easy to deal with, especially when it's over a guy they like. And above all of that, Mr. Incredible has finally discovered that Jack does indeed have superpowers. And it really takes its toll on the poor guy. I mean, he's not sleeping, he doesn't really know what to do, but he doesn't want to call on Elastigirl because, you know, she's gonna feel compelled to, you know, quit doing this and come home to be a stay-at-home mom, which is what she's always been. But getting into Elastigirl, what I do like that this movie did is it really gave her a chance to really shine in this movie. I mean, she's basically the superhero that's in the forefront this whole time, so you know that she's gonna get a lot of attention, but you really see she is a great superhero. I feel like The Incredibles was more of a focus on Mr. Incredible. I feel like Incredibles 2 was more of a focus on Elastigirl. And you know, she's saving people's lives, she's taking names, she's kicking ass. But during these missions that Elastigirl has been going on, she's been confronting this villain known as Screenslaver, who's basically this hypnotist who's using, you know, cameras and news stations to brainwash people. This included the conductor of a train that nearly crashed that she was able to save earlier. This includes the news anchor for the station that she's being interviewed on. But along the way, towards I want to say the midpoint of the movie, Elastigirl is able to confront the so-called Screenslaver. She's able to apprehend him. She's able to defeat him. He gets arrested, but when you see him, you look at him and you're just like, that guy was the villain? Because the guy's just a normal everyday pizza man. You can't help but wonder in your head, it's like, alright, is the movie pulling an Iron Man 3 on us? I'll get back to that in a minute though. I want to touch on Jack for a moment. Another area that I really love that this movie did is it really made Jack more of a character in this movie. I mean, granted, he's a baby, so there's not so much you could do with the baby. That's why he didn't really have that big a role in The Incredibles. In this case though, he has a much bigger role and he is straight up the comic relief in this movie. Because, you know, it's him exploring his powers. It's a family figuring out what the hell to do with him. There's one scene in particular, he notices a raccoon outside going through the family's trash, So he literally goes outside and he starts fighting the raccoon with all of his powers. But what I love that this movie explores upon is Edna Mode. She explains to Mr. Incredible that when superheroes are babies, I guess they have a few more powers that they don't necessarily retain as they get older. But Jack's a different case. He has a lot of superpowers. The kid's turning into fire, turning into monsters. He's phasing through dimensions. He's shooting lasers out of his eyes. He learns to control all of that. He's gonna be the most badass superhero ever. But it's also right here. Elastigirl can't help but shake. It's like, taking down the Screenslaver was a little too easy. I think there's more to this. And it's here she discovers that that pizza delivery man who was arrested, he's not actually the Screenslaver. The actual Screenslaver had put these glasses on him that basically mind controlled him. And we discovered that the actual Screenslaver is Evelyn Dever. And I will also say this was a little bit predictable to me because in the beginning of this movie, when, they're meeting with Winston Dever, she seems a little more hesitant to, bring superheroes back on board. There was always something a little fishy about her. I did kind of expect her to be a supervillain. I didn't necessarily expect her to be the Screenslaver, but I did think she was going to be a villain at some point in this movie. That is a bit of a bummer. I like to be surprised. But what I do appreciate is the motive she has, the vendetta she has against the superheroes. Because, this went back to a story that Winston was telling the superheroes. It was, their father was a big superhero advocate, was helping them, was funding things for them. And then one night, after the superheroes were forced to retire, he tried calling upon them when two men broke into their house. But, he couldn't get a hold of them because they weren't around. He opted to go this route instead of taking himself and his wife into the safe room that was in their house. And as a result, the two men that broke into the house, they killed him and his wife. So now she feels mankind will never be able to do anything for itself ever as long as superheroes are out there. So I'm gonna mind control everyone for this big plan that's gonna, appeal the Superhero Retirement Act, that's gonna reinstate you all. But I got something big planned, and it's gonna end superheroes forever. So she's now mind-washed Elastigirl, she's mind-washed Mr. Incredible, and she's also sent this mind-washed band of superheroes who kind of became side characters in this movie. And those characters were fine. I mean, they didn't do a whole lot in this movie, but for what they needed to do, they were okay. But she sends them to go after the kids. Frozen's there trying to protect them, but then he gets brainwashed. The kids were able to escape from that, but once the other superheroes, Frozone, Elastigirl, and Mr. Incredible in particular, get back to the ship, being mind-controlled by Evelyn, they talk into this camera that's being broadcast live that, oh, we don't serve any of you, we only serve us, so we're gonna take over the ship, and we're just gonna crash it into the city that's gonna kill a bunch of people, cause a bunch of damage, and yeah, it'll be the end of superheroes. And what I like seeing here is now it's up to the kids to basically save everyone, and what I appreciate here is it kind of reminds me of that scene on the island in The Incredibles with Dash and Violet having to take on the bad guys on their own. And what's cool here is you see that both of them have really learned to use their powers a little bit more effectively. They've grown since the last movie. And yeah, they're able to free their parents, they're able to free Frozone, and now it's all a matter of taking down Evelyn. The ship is going straight ahead for the city. Frozone and Mr. Incredible, they have to find a way to turn it away from the city in time before it does crash, while Elastigirl goes after Evelyn in her private jet to prevent her from getting away. So yeah, the city is saved, Elastigirl stops Evelyn, she gets arrested, and now because the world has seen that superheroes saved everyone, they stopped all this from happening, superheroes are made legal once again. Similar to The Incredibles, the last scene in this movie, there's a group of criminals that are trying to avoid the police, and now the Incredibles are going to go after them, which they can do now because they're legal superheroes now. That's really what I don't understand though. Why are criminals still going to do what they're going to do now that superheroes are back in the world? Don't they know they're pretty well fucked now? I don't know, I mean, it's just a thought. So all in all, I thought Incredibles 2 was a really good movie. The characters are all great. I love seeing where everyone is at this point in the movie. I thought the story was great. I love that more characters who didn't have as much of a chance to shine in the previous movie got their chance in this one. Jack especially, like I said, he delivered some of the funniest moments in this whole movie. Evelyn Dever as the Screenslaver was a solid villain for this movie, although I will say it was kind of predictable that she would be the villain of this movie. Animation looks great. The action in this movie was really entertaining too. The opening scene with the Underminer, that was awesome. And in the end, to sum it up, is it as good as The Incredibles? No. Was it a movie worth waiting 14 years for? Yes, I think so. And would I be down to see a third Incredibles movie to see where else they take this family, where else they take this world? I mean, I'm down for that. If Cars can get a trilogy, why can't The Incredibles? I mean, you see my point? So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.